25 for 25, where I count down the 25 best films of the century so far. We've reached number 7 on the list this week. It's a pretty good one. Christopher McQuarrie's Mission Impossible Fallout from 2018. One of the greatest action movies ever made. One of the most mind-blowing experiences I've had in a cinema in my lifetime. An incredible roller coaster of a movie that really, I think, elevated Tom Cruise to legendary status in the pantheon of action cinema. This is the one that I think puts him on the top tier. And we're going to go down in the history books in terms of the stunts that are achieved, the incredible, ferocious, high-energy action that's on screen, and a movie that's just profoundly rewatchable. I mean, I could watch Mission Impossible Fallout every day of the week without getting bored. It's a great film. It's number 7 on our list. It is the Christopher McQuarrie entry on this list. We do one film per director. I won't say there were significant competitors for this position. Obviously, I'm a big fan of his other Mission Impossible films, Rogue Nation and Dead Reckoning in particular. This year's final film, The Final Reckoning, I was a little bit less fond of. McQuarrie's other films as a director, The Way of the Gun and Jack Reacher, not quite within a chance of getting on this list, I'm afraid. So Fallout it is. It is also the highest appearance of Tom Cruise on this list as a star. It really is the best film he's made since Magnolia, in my opinion, and just definitely up there in terms of his performance, his stunt work, his movie star sort of status, everything. So it's the 6th movie in the Mission Impossible franchise. It is, for me, the best, although I'm open to arguments in defense of Ghost Protocol and indeed Rogue Nation. I am not really sold on the idea of the first movie being the best one. I'm sorry to all of the 90s kids who will disagree with me on that. And I definitely think the second, third, and The Final Reckoning are all much, much weaker. Fallout is where it's at for me. I was a huge fan of Ghost Protocol, a huge fan of Rogue Nation. Saw them both in cinemas when they were released. Loved them. So Fallout was one of my most anticipated films of 2018. Trailer dropped on Super Bowl Sunday in February with Friction by Imagine Dragons playing over it, and it is one of the greatest trailers ever. Everything from Angela Bassett's heels clicking on the floor to the rhythm of the music. If you'd held on to the plutonium of Berlin, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Through to the Henry Cavill like pumping his fists with the music in tune. It's just a fucking incredible trailer, and expectations for the film were set very high when that trailer came out. And it did come out in the middle of July 2018, right around the same time as a little movie called Incredibles 2, which was a film I was extremely excited for. It was definitely top of my list of that year. I was a big fan of the first Incredibles. I went to actually a signing by Brad Bird the week before that movie came out, and I was like all about Incredibles 2. So when I got invited to an early press screening of Fallout that clashed with the screening I had booked of Incredibles 2 on opening day, I chose Incredibles 2. And in hindsight, that's kind of a bizarre thing to have done because Mission Impossible Fallout is 10 times the film that Incredibles 2 is with respect to Brad Bird's pretty good sequel. So I ended up seeing this the day it was released, which I think was a Tuesday or a Wednesday at the end of July. And Shane, who you all know from the podcast, and I went to see it in the Savoy in Dublin. And screen 1, I think, and it was a great night. We had a really, really euphoric experience watching this film, and we were just in kind of disbelief when it ended at what we had experienced. The absolute high octane madness of the 2 hours and 2 hours and 27 minutes of this film that just doesn't let up, and it never drags, it never slows down, it never gets boring, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. It's really remarkable, and it blew our minds. And we went to Supermax immediately afterwards. We recorded a chaotic podcast episode about it in Supermax, which you can go back and listen to. I wouldn't recommend you do. And I went back to see it twice more, and it is to date, I believe, the only film I've seen 3 times in the cinema on its original release. I saw it again with my parents, who did not care for it, and I saw it again with Shane and our friend Michael a few weeks later, and I couldn't get enough of Fallout, and then watched it again when the Blu-ray came out before Christmas, and I watch it now about every year again. I think it's so fantastic, and the world agreed with me. It got almost $800 million at the box office. It was pretty universally well reviewed. I mean, people did love Fallout at the time, which is great. It was not underrated by any means. It was obviously not necessarily showered with awards. None of these movies have been. In fact, the first Oscar nomination that any Mission Impossible movie received was a sound nomination and a VFX nomination that Dead Reckoning got, which I think was a little bit of a post-Top Gun Maverick reassessment of like, Tom Cruise action movies maybe are awards worthy. But this movie is miles ahead of Top Gun Maverick, in my opinion. And it balances the action and the story far better than that film does, and doesn't get into jingoism. I don't think any of the Mission Impossible movies do. These movies are fantasies about a superhero whose name is Ethan Hunt. He doesn't have magic powers. He just jumps really high and clambers onto things, and he saves the world. And it's a bit of a messianic thing going on there, but these are not movies about the military or about American power in the world. Like, I don't think that they are, in the scheme of action movies that have been made in the last couple of decades, if you compare them to Fast and Furious, Bond, stuff like that, I don't think that they have a particularly toxic relationship with, as I said, jingoism, or indeed with stuff like masculinity. Like, I think these movies are nice and good and healthy, and yes, maybe slight Scientology propaganda about how you can, like, do incredible, amazing things if you're Tom Cruise, but it's Tom Cruise propaganda. He is a cult unto himself, and I am a card-carrying member. This movie kicks off with Ethan Hunt being given a mission in Belfast. Not a single frame of this was shot in Northern Ireland, but nevertheless. He then takes part in this kind of transfer of plutonium in Berlin with Luther and Benji, which goes wrong, and we catch up with them in a hospital room where a scientist called Niels de Broek is in a hospital bed, and there is footage on TV of Wolf Blitzer talking about a major terrorist attack that has happened in 3 locations. And Niels de Broek is delighted to learn that his plan worked and the terrorist attack happened. The nuke exploded and these places have been destroyed. But the walls fall down, and you realize that Wolf Blitzer is Simon Pegg in a mask, and the entire thing has been staged to trick Niels de Broek into handing over a passcode.
Go.
Told you we'd get it.
I don't understand. The attacks didn't happen.
The car accident you in, that was an hour ago.
I was driving the other car.
What's done is done. And what we say it's done.
What a delightful way to transition into the opening titles of this film. Like, there is almost half an hour of preamble, and it's a slow start, but once you get to this hospital scene, oh man, does it get going. We then jump immediately to the introduction of Alec Baldwin, who is basically introducing Ethan to August Walker, the Henry Cavill character, and priming them for the halo jump that's about to happen.
Sir, the phone you unlocked led us to a server in Iceland where we managed to decrypt a communique between John
Baldwin
Locke
is so good in this movie. He's in a couple of scenes, but he really kills it. And then we have this incredible halo jump, which was shot for real. They didn't really film it over Paris, but they did shoot it in the air, and then Paris was sort of added in later. And you can tell, I mean, it's absolutely nuts. And if you look at how this scene was made in terms of the DOP and the focus puller and all of this, like, insane amounts of risk and effort went into this, and it really pays off. It's absolutely remarkable.
5,000.
The next stretch of the movie takes place in Paris. We have this nightclub section, which concludes with this unbelievable fist fight in the toilet. Now, I'm not normally someone who likes hand-to-hand combat in movies. Like, I don't enjoy it. I don't find it interesting. But this is so incredibly well staged. It's just the sound design and the blocking and the way it's shot is so brilliant and one of a kind. We're introduced to a couple of new characters, well, new and returning characters. We have Vanessa Kirby as the White Widow, and then Rebecca Ferguson's Ilsa Faust shows up. And there is a really lovely thing running through this film between Ethan and Ilsa, that they are, you know, kind of perfect match for each other, but the line of work they're in and the lives they lead will not facilitate any kind of like normal functional relationship. And this kind of runs through these 3 movies from Rogue Nation through to Dead Reckoning, and I really like it. And I think Rebecca Ferguson is really amazing in these films and pulls off the dramatic side of that character and that relationship extremely well.
Yes, I never.
I know you have your reasons. I know.
We have what is, in my opinion, probably the highlight of the film, which is this incredibly sort of Michael Mann, Christopher Nolan-esque, handover scene. It's The Exchange is the name of the track on the score, which is what I'll refer to the scene as. And it's where Sean Harris's villain is being, handed over, and they have to basically hijack this handover to get him into IMF custody. And there's all of these armored vehicles, there's police, motorbikes, trucks. It's in the middle of Paris city centre. It is played out silently with incredible score by Lorne Balfe playing over it. And in my book, it's better than anything in Heat. It's better than anything in The Dark Knight. Like, I really think this film betters a lot of the action in those two movies. It is hugely influenced by them, but I think it does one better. This is incredibly tense, amazing, like heart-stopping action cinema, and so silent. It's absolutely phenomenal. We have a bit more business in Paris, a bit of business in London. Ethan goes on this crazy sprint through London where Tom Cruise famously broke his leg for real, and then they end up traveling to Kashmir because there's going to be a water supply that gets basically destroyed by the bomb if Sean Harris and Henry Cavill get their way. Henry Cavill has been revealed to be a villain at a certain point. So Ethan arrives in Kashmir, and who's there but his wife, his ex-wife, Julia, played by Michelle Monaghan, who is now working with Médecins Sans Frontières, I suppose, and she is there, which is a huge surprise in the movie. I don't think I knew she was going to be in it at the time, and it's so delightful to see her, and they have such a lovely moment together.
Julia?
Is that...
Julia.
Does he know?
And then the movie kind of concludes with this extended helicopter chase that transitions into a fight atop a cliff between Ethan Hunt and the Henry Cavill character. It's so good. It just moves and moves and moves. I mean, the movie is well over 2 hours at this point, but it does not get tired. It just keeps things interesting, keeps things changing up until the last possible second. And the action in this movie is so dynamic, it just never sticks to one thing for too long, and it's so refreshing and brilliant. And the movie ends with Ethan in a hospital bed after saving the world one last time, with a really lovely moment with Ilsa. And that's Mission Impossible Fallout. I love this movie so much. I don't know anyone who doesn't love this movie. It is the best Mission Impossible movie, it is the best action movie, and it is the highest ranked action movie on this list. And I have absolutely no qualms about that whatsoever. Ranked it slightly higher than Inception, which is a film that I do love a great deal, but for me, Mission Impossible Fallout just kind of has a bit more like to it that's never been done before in a movie. I mean, this is like the peak of stunt work in American cinema for me, at least since the like Buster Keaton days. And maybe that's hyperbolic, but hey, that's what I said. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the 25 for 25. I'll be back very soon with number 6 on the list. We are quickly heading for the end of this countdown. You can find regular episodes of Boy Party every Tuesday at boypartypod.com. Follow Boy Party Pod on Instagram. And I'll be back very soon. Bye-bye.
Please don't make me laugh.